At just 10 years old, he had already been outside hanging on the block. K-Flock took note of what other rappers were doing at the time in Chicago, because while he was growing up in the Bronx, the Chicago drill scene was starting to take over. Although young, in his mind he was old enough to start hustling and meeting new people in the neighborhood. Even though K-Flock was good at making enemies, he was even better at making friends. Aaron Howard, or Dougie B, is actually his blood cousin, but the two grew up like good friends. Then there was Quayshawn, or B-Love as we know him. He was the oldest and had a lot of influence over them, including being the first one to pick up rapping. And lastly, there was also Jalen, known as PMVJ, who at one point was their friend. Needless to say, B-Love had already been in the streets and he had some connections and was already making a name for himself. To them, the streets were too much fun. This was their mindset at a young age. Being young and not fully understanding the lifestyle that came with it, losing family and friends was part of growing up in the Bronx. Being from 187th Street, K-Flock repped a gang called Sevside and DOA, and like any set, they were at war with a few others. Sometimes they even referred to themselves as EBK, or Everybody Killers.
How EBK? Because anybody could get shot.
So you can imagine they had a lot of enemies, with the YGs and OGs being the main ops of Sevside. As I mentioned, B-Love was the first one to start recording music, but he didn't like the way his songs were coming out, so he ended up giving it up for a while and never released the songs. Meanwhile, PMVJ would actually be the first one to find some success with songs like OMBK. Seeing that PMVJ could get views like that only made them realize they could do it as well, seeing they all come from the same area. Shortly after, B-Love ended up doing some time behind bars, later claiming that someone had snitched on him. This made him hate the street politics, wanting to pursue music more so he could leave that behind. But while this was happening, K-Flock was running his ops down in the streets and would even go live on Instagram, showing him in hoods he wasn't supposed to be in like he was bulletproof.
I make it known when I'm on his side. No, came from more there, boys down, look, boys still down there. Boys still down there.
Although negative, this attention would actually put his name out there, so his reputation was quickly building. In just a few months, Flocka had made a few hundred fans that would watch his streams where he taunted his enemies. The idea of making music still wasn't on his mind though. The streets had his full attention.
I wasn't really the rapper, it's really the rapper right here.